news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store.
Truck season.
Are you going to read the one about the guy hijacking the car in front of the deputy?
I did not see that.
Okay, it's on Ozarks first, so I'll do that one, if that's okay with you.
Yeah. No, I want to read it.
Ooh, we're good. You going to do the intro?
Yeah.
Or you want me to? You can do
I
the
can
intro.
do the intro.
I'll do my first article then.
This, yeah, right here. Let me start right at 10.
The time is 10 a.m.
Thank you for tuning into the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. My name is Noah, and I'm here with Gay. We invite you to listen to our broadcast both live and on demand. Our live sessions are available on the Blind Community Thrift Store YouTube channel Monday to Friday between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. each week. Additionally, you can access on-demand content through the Audio Reader Network, which offers a wide range of audio materials for the visually impaired community. To explore content from the Audio Reader Network, please visit www.reader.ku.edu. The site provides details about accessing content via Amazon Alexa, Audio Reader Network mobile app, and information on receiving a radio to listen to the broadcast by KSMU Radio. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's sub-carrier airwaves at 67 kHz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio. Thanks.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen and Jackie Rewald, reporter. Harmony House, Greene County's only shelter for victims of domestic violence and their children, had to enact an emergency shutdown last week after a Springfield man allegedly called the shelter more than 1,000 times and made numerous threats. Philip Andrew Bates, born in 1993, is charged with a Class D felony of first-degree terrorist threat. As of Friday, March 13th, he did not appear on the Greene County Jail's online inmate roster. According to the charging documents, Bates had prior convictions for stalking, violation of a protection order, and harassment. He is believed to be an over-the-road truck driver and was expected to return to Springfield late last week. At the time the charge was filed on Thursday, March 11th, Bates's whereabouts are still unknown by authorities. According to the probable cause statement, Bates repeatedly called the shelter's hotline, requesting to speak with an individual he believed to be staying there. Harmony House staff never confirms whether an individual is staying there. When Bates was rebuffed, he allegedly began making suicidal statements, such as telling the call taker he would crash his semi-truck and kill himself. After Springfield police were notified about what was happening, an officer called Bates and told him to stop calling the hotline. He agreed he would stop calling, and he stated he just wanted to speak with a female there, the officer had written in his report. According to the statement, Bates called Harmony House's crisis line over 1,300 times between March 7th and March 11th. He said, "I'm going to keep calling y'all all day and night, and unless you have her call me, I have problems. Don't play with me. I'm about to start crashing things out. You are not safe in that building." According to the statement, the executive director of Harmony House told police that the decision to enact an emergency shutdown was made, which means the shelter implemented several extra security measures. The report is ongoing.
The City of Branson receives grant to better assess tree risk. All over the Ozarks, you can find a variety of landscapes and a variety of trees, and Branson is no exception. The City of Branson was recently awarded a grant to send a member of its staff to a training session on managing tree risk. As with many things, having trees around people can pose a risk if branches or whole trees fall. The Tree Risk Assessment Qualification Training from the International Society of Arboriculture will help the city's landscape and trail supervisor, Laura Perry, build on her skills and learn a more systematic way to identify dangerous trees. This training will provide the latest knowledge on how to identify potential hazards in trees in public spaces, whether it's from disease or instability. It's especially handy going into storm season. Ideally, said Perry, part of the mitigation portion of this is we identify trees that are of greater risk. There is always a level of uncertainty when you're dealing with nature, and so you're not going to be able to mitigate all of that risk. However, if we can make smart decisions about which trees present a higher risk, maybe there's something we can do about it ahead of time. Keeping trees healthy benefits the community at all levels. There are a lot of benefits of trees, Perry said. They provide shade and habitat for wildlife. It's not just aesthetics. There's also an emotional component of it. That feeling like we're connected to Earth is really important, and trees bring that connection. Perry says the training begins in April. Missouri budget proposal would cut $51 million in child care subsidies. A proposed substitute budget in Missouri would cut $51 million from the state's child care subsidy program, affecting Head Start programs and daycares across the state, as well as families who rely on the subsidies to afford child care. Carrie Durbin, a mother of 4 in Springfield, uses the child care subsidy program to cover the cost of daycare while she works. Child care subsidy offers a lot of support for me and my family, Durbin said. Durbin said the subsidy allows her to cover her children's basic needs with her paycheck. Looking at my budget and the income that I have, having subsidy helps me provide a stable environment, really, for my kids. Not so much the environment, but I'm able to provide basic needs just with my paycheck and the subsidy, she said. Through Head Start programs in Springfield, Durbin said her children have benefited from hands-on educational support, including help with developmental concerns for one of her children. They're always just trying to strive to be better and educated, very hands-on with the kids. So we had some concerns about developmental growth, and they reassured us that he is right on point. And so they geared more of this treatment plan, so to speak, towards social emotional growth and getting him ready for kindergarten, Durbin said. If the $51 million is removed from the program, Durbin said her family would face significant hardship. I would have to rely heavily on food banks and LIHEAP and other community resources, which they're already at a strain, she said. Durbin is among the families urging lawmakers to preserve the funding. I feel like the subsidy plays a major role in offering families the opportunity to be independently stable. I understand, a lot of families must be on it and use it for multiple years on, but I really feel like those benefits are so crucial to healthy families and healthy family dynamics, Durbin said. The chair and vice chair of the Budget Committee did not respond to requests for comment made by phone and email. The budget proposal is expected to move to the House floor.
A former U.S. Marine who resides in Texas County, Missouri, was indicted for giving information that threatens national security to a source in China. Seth Chambers, 35, was indicted with 2 counts of willfully transmission of national defense information, according to a March 13th U.S. Department of Justice press release. He pleaded not guilty Friday during a court hearing at the federal courthouse in Springfield. Chambers, a former Marine Corps intelligence analyst, was employed as a civilian contractor and stationed in Iraq from November 2021 to January 2023, according to court documents. Chambers held a security clearance that allowed him to view different levels of classified material. According to the release, Chambers allegedly sent classified information to individuals who were not authorized to receive it on 2 separate occasions. The first occurred in 2022 when prosecutors says Chambers sent a white paper with classified U.S. government documents to an individual in Maryland. In 2023, Chambers allegedly sent excerpts from classified materials to an individual believed to be in China. The indictment was returned by a Springfield grand jury under seal and was made public Friday after the arrest and initial appearance of the defendant, according to the release. The charge contained in this indictment are simple and not evidence of guilt. Evidence supporting the charges must be presented to a federal trial jury whose duty it is to determine the guilt or innocence. If convicted, Chambers could be sentenced to up to 10 years in federal prison on each count. This case is being prosecuted by U.S. Attorney Jim Kellner and trial attorneys Nicholas Hunter and Sean O'Dowd of the National Security Division's Counterintelligence and Export Control Section, according to the release. It was investigated by the FBI Springfield Field Office.
A UMC pastor who managed Epstein's private island suspended amid inquiry. A United Methodist pastor was suspended for her past ties with Jeffrey Epstein, for whom she worked as an administrative assistant and later managed property on the convicted sex offender's island. United Methodist Church leadership in Missouri announced the suspension March 12th of an act of clergy, and a United Methodist news story identified that person as Reverend Stephanie Remington. There are more than 1,800 references to Remington's name in the Epstein files, though likely some of those mentions are repeated. The Epstein files include thousands of pages of unsealed documents tied to the late financier's sex trafficking case and his ultra-wealthy clients. Remington did not respond to a request for comment. A disciplinary inquiry into Remington is significant on a national level for the historically Nashville-based UMC. The case stands out because there are few references to religious institutions or related consequences within the Epstein files. The significance for the UMC is related to Remington's employment with Epstein while she served in what's known as an extension ministry. Remington worked for the Missouri Conference of the UMC but operated outside a local Missouri church. The Missouri Conference is the regional government's body for UMC churches in the state, which is overseen by a bishop and an administrative cabinet. The Missouri Conference had no knowledge of the individual's association with Mr. Epstein, the Missouri Conference said in a March 12th statement. No information indicating this association was disclosed in any of the reports. The UMC Book of Discipline, a compendium of policies and practices for the denomination, outlines how any pastor on extension ministry must regularly inform the bishop and their cabinet of the regional conference to which they're assigned. Yet, Remington did not report to UMC administrative leadership in 2018 and 2019 that she worked for Epstein, according to the Missouri Conference. Epstein became a convicted sex offender in 2008. Remington told United Methodist News that she works for Epstein for 9 months, ending her employment with him in May 2019, a couple months prior to Epstein's arrest on sex trafficking charges. A few months after that, Epstein died in his jail cell. Remington told United Methodist News that she never saw anything and knew Epstein well after he served time for things that he was accused of doing. United Methodist employment data shows Remington's career began in July 2001 as pastor of a small congregation in Green Ridge, Missouri. She served as pastor and associate pastor of other congregations in the Missouri Conference until 2021. At different points throughout that tenure and the years since then, she was on leave or extension ministry. An address in the U.S. Virgin Islands, which is where Epstein's private island is located, is associated with Remington's name according to publicly available records. The Missouri Conference has suspended Remington for 90 days and did not say whether it will make the findings of its inquiry publicly available. The only other major faith-related revelation to emerge from the Epstein files is that Epstein and former Trump aide Steve Bannon texted about adapting a book into a film to, quote, take down Francis, referring to the late Pope, according to Religion News Service. The book that Epstein and Bannon texted about, titled In the Closet of the Vatican, had claimed 80% of Vatican clergy are gay, and its publishing fueled traditionalist protest of Francis's leadership.
Crunch Fitness has submitted a building permit to take over the property that previously housed Gordman's on South Campbell Avenue in Springfield. New York-based Crunch Fitness submitted the building project plans in December 2025 to the City of Springfield, and the plans are under review according to the building project permit filed with the city. A building permit was submitted on March the 4th. The plans include drastic renovations to the property located at 3303 South Campbell that formerly housed Gordman's and Radio Shack next to Walmart Supercenter. Crunch plans to renovate the building with locker rooms, bathrooms, showers, and tanning, along with hydro massage equipment, according to the field plans. The renovations will require updates to the electrical and plumbing systems. Crunch Fitness will lease just over 43,000 square feet in the existing building, according to the plans submitted. The rest of the building will be demolished, specifically the west portion of the property. Everything will be updated and installed on the east and west sides of the building. Crunch Fitness started in 1989 in a small basement studio in New York City's Greenwich Village, according to the company website. Crunch brands itself as No Judgment Gym, open to a diverse group of people who are looking to fitness to improve their lives. The fitness franchise includes top-of-the-line strength and cardio equipment, fitness classes, and amenities like hydro massage beds and tanning booths. There are more than 400 Crunch locations across the country, according to the company's website. In Missouri, there are multiple Crunch Fit franchises in the St. Louis and Kansas City regions, as well as a store in Columbia. Crunch Fitness did not respond to an email or phone seeking additional comments about the planned Springfield franchise. The property at 3303 South Campbell is owned by Walmart Stores, Inc., according to the Greene County Assessor's Office records. The property includes the adjacent building that houses Walmart Supercenter with a total of just under 300,000 square feet. The property has been appraised at $13.7 million. Gordman's was housed in the South Campbell property until 2019 when the company moved to the property that formerly housed Toys R Us on East Battlefield Road, according to the Springfield Business Journal. The Springfield store officially closed in 2020 after its parent company filed for bankruptcy.
Monette toddler returns home after 10 months following head-on crash. A toddler from Monette is home after spending 10 months in the hospital following a head-on crash that left him and his mother with life-threatening injuries. Brittany Zerfus and her 18-month-old son Maverick were struck head-on in Marionville last May. Both suffered critical injuries. Maverick went into cardiac arrest at the scene and was revived by bystanders who performed CPR until EMTs arrived. Those same bystanders also stayed with Brittany while she was trapped inside the vehicle. May 15th of 2025, Maverick and I were driving home from town and we were hit head-on in Marionville by another driver, Zerfus said. In the aftermath of the crash, Brittany and Bryce Zerfus were told their son would not recover. We were told that he would never breathe again, move his arms, his legs, open his eyes, essentially be stuck in a vegetative state, the Zerfuses said. But Mav had different plans, and he has fought continuously since the accident and showed us how strong he is and what a miracle he is. Bryce said he researched new therapies that helped Maverick breathe more independently. Unfortunately, these anoxic brain injuries are looked at as the worst injuries possible and are unrecoverable, which isn't true, Bryce said. There may be limitations in the future, but there is always hope. Maverick has since shown signs of improvement, including the ability to track movement and use eye gaze technology. Now he can actually turn and look at us, the Zerfuses said. He's also used eye gaze to kind of play games, all by himself using his eyes. Maverick came home on Wednesday with a full escort that included some of the first responders who worked the scene of the crash. I got to meet a couple of the people that were there working the scene that helped Mav, Brittany said. Just being able to see them and thank them because they're a huge reason why Maverick is still here. Brittany also said she hopes to personally thank a bystander who stayed with her at the scene. I know somebody was with me, and I want to be able to thank that person for staying with me and making sure that I was okay while I was trapped in the car, while they were attending to Maverick, who needed them more than I did, she said. The family said they look forward to resuming nightly walks in their community and taking Maverick back to one of his favorite places, Wonders of Wildlife.
From an updated report, a Springfield Greene County judge sentenced Jacob Gregory. We're going to change our report real quick. Iconic Springfield pub Ebbets Field will reopen on March the 27th. This week in 417 Food News, a Springfield staple announces its opening day and a commercial street restaurant adds outdoor seating. Plus, an Thai restaurant says it will remain open despite filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Ebbets Field, which closed its doors in early 2024, announced its opening day will be March the 27th. The pub will reopen with a new logo, a fresh new lineup, and the same hometown spirit you've come to love, according to their Facebook post. Sydney and Jared Davis purchased the building at 1027 East Walnut Street in 2025 and have been planning to reopen it with all the nostalgia of the pub intact, including a menu similar to its pre-2022 iteration, according to prior News-Leader reporting. Ebbets Field has a long history in Springfield, starting with a restaurateur, Nick Russo, opening its first iteration on Cherry Street in 1981. Missouri State University, invoking eminent domain in 1994, forced the restaurant to move to its current location at 1027 Walnut Street. Russo ran the restaurant until 2000, when Lance Reeves took over. In 2010, the restaurant was bought by Swiss Helm Group. The pub changed hands a few times before ending up in the hands of Bryan Properties in 2018, which owned it until its closure in 2024. LaRue Bistro at 300 East Commercial is also expanding its seating to add an outdoor space. The restaurant, situated in the historic Phoenix building, already offers seating on the main floor as well as the cellar area. LaRue is open for lunch from 11 to 4, happy hour from 3 to 5, and dinner from 4 to 9, Monday through Saturday. The restaurant opened in late July 2025 and is a venture of French influence from Paris to New Orleans to eventually the Ozarks, said owner Joseph Gidman.
Answer Man, what's that weird little structure on Grand Street on MSU campus? That weird little structure is on Missouri State campus on the north side of Grand Street. It's near Craig Hall and not far from the current construction of the Judith Einhart Reynolds Performing Arts Complex. What David meant by my backyard is that the Springfield Daily Citizen office is on the MSU campus. Since it is so close, on Wednesday, I walked to the construction site. I wasn't wearing a hard hat, so I waited for one of the construction workers to get within earshot. That construction worker was Carter Owens, an iron worker who tells me he actually did a little bit of work on the weird little structure. It's for the benefit of the public driving by on Grand Street, Owens says, to help them keep track of the arts complex construction. It's going to show you what this building will look like after it's done being built, he says. It's just a little general small piece. What you see today will be added onto as construction continues, he said. It's not like a whole wall or anything, just a small portion. It's for everyone to look at. Once the building is built, it will be gone. I also contacted Emily Litterman, an MSU spokesperson. That is a building exterior material and workmanship mock-up for the Judith Einhart Reynolds Performing Arts Complex, she said via email. This is essentially a mock-up the contractor does to ensure materials are what is specified and detailing is correct before the work is done on the main building. The university hopes the complex will be finished by August in time for the 2026 fall semester.
Missouri cannabis rules change to address micro-business fraud. Missouri lawmakers signed off on a proposed cannabis rules Thursday, March 12th, meant to curb abuse in the state's micro-business licensing program, but not before stripping out a ban on people tied to or denied or revoked licenses from holding interest in future micro-businesses. The Joint Committee on Administrative Rules, made up of lawmakers from both the House and Senate, approved changes that would move regulatory ownership review to before licenses are issued rather than after. A shift aimed at preventing another wave of revocations in the micro-business program, sometimes called the Social Equity Cannabis Program. But the committee rejected a proposed rule barring the owners, agents, or representatives of denied or revoked applicants from controlling other micro-business license. Republican State Representative Ben Keithley of Chesterfield said the language was too broad and needed to be more specific. The micro-business program was designed to boost opportunities in the cannabis industry for people in disadvantaged communities that have been most impacted by the war on drugs. It began in 2023 after passing as part of the constitutional amendment to legalize recreational marijuana in 2022. For the last 2 years, The Independent has dominated a pattern of well-connected groups and individuals flooding the micro-business lottery by recruiting people to submit applications and then offering them contracts that limit their profit and control of the business. Of the 105 micro-business licenses issued so far, 35 have been revoked. There's really no question in many cases, Amy Moore, director of Missouri Division of Cannabis Regulations, said during a hearing with the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules this week. Third parties used eligible individuals' names and circumstances to attempt to acquire licenses for themselves. In order to prevent the continued cascade of revocations, the division is proposing to adjust when its extensive application review period occurs. The state has held 2 lotteries for micro-business licenses so far. Moore told committee members. After each lottery, she said the winners were issued license, and then her team conducted an investigation into all contracts to verify the winner was eligible to hold the business license. Our investigation found instances of licenses that were awarded to individuals who were very clearly, through review of agreements and interviews, were not owning and operating the license, she said. Even after taking very strong action and revoking several licenses after the first lottery, it was not the deterrent her team had expected. In the second round, we had to revoke almost half of the licenses for this type of non-compliance, she said. So that brings us to this set of amendments. We could not have kept going with additional rounds of licensure and then having additional revocations. I'm not sure how many rounds we would have to go through to finally get the minimum number of licenses that are required by the Constitution, which is 144. The proposed rules would change the point when regulators would review questionable contracts to take place before the license is issued instead of afterward as it is now. Also, under the new rules, majority owned and operated would be defined as the eligible individuals who are listed as having majority ownership must have a level of operational control that would be expected of an owner. The designated contract role was envisioned as a way to ensure clear communication between the state and licensees. However, regulators found in their investigations that designated contracts have kept the actual eligible applicants in the dark about the business and license dealings. The new rule would require that the designated contract for a micro-business applicant to be a majority owner of the micro-business license. Eligible individuals must have the power to order or direct the management, managers, and policies and licenses, enter into agreements on behalf of the license, and otherwise make decisions for the business. The committee approved these provisions on March 12th, but it put the brakes on rules preventing decision makers of a micro business license that regulators have denied or revoked from holding a voting or financial interest in any other micro business license. If we have a good reason for those denials, Keithley said, let's make those reasons the basis for the denial going forward. The rule was removed from the proposed draft, and the committee agreed to approve the proposed rules and waive a 30-day review period. We've taken that out, Moore says, but appreciate the support of the concept that those who chose to violate the Constitution probably shouldn't have participated in any role where they could repeat those behaviors. Moore said there is another set of cannabis rules that deals with ownerships that will come before the committee this year, and the division and the committee agreed that the language could be included in the new set of rules. We will continue to work with the committee and other stakeholders to better address that need, Moore said. From this point, the division will need to file a new draft of the rules with the Missouri Secretary of State that will be published 2 more times before they enact it at the end of May or early June.
Springfield wears green for downtown St. Patrick's Day Parade. The celebrations kicked off Saturday with the St. Patrick's Day Parade in downtown Springfield. The parade route changed this year due to construction. It started at South Avenue heading north into Park Central Square and ended at Jefferson Street. There was live music, family-friendly fun for all ages, and a special beer garden with Finnegan's Wake on the square. It really is a great event for Springfield, wanting to showcase downtown, Commercial Street, and all the amazing small businesses that we have and our local businesses here, said Crystal Quaid, Executive Director of the Downtown Springfield Association. But it's also kind of a kickoff for all future events that we're going to have throughout the summer and fall. Of course, we have Route 66 coming up right up around the corner, so St. Pat's is really the kickoff for all these really kind of exciting things happening. The parade was managed by the Downtown Springfield Association with support from Finnegan's Wake, PenMac Staffing, and the Downtown Community Improvement District. Winona man dies in Shannon County ambulance crash. An 18-year-old Winona man has died after a motorcycle crashed into an ambulance in Shannon County Sunday morning. According to the Missouri State Highway Patrol, the crash happened on Highway 19, 6 miles south of Winona at around 8:35 a.m. Troopers said a 2005 Yamaha motorcycle driven by an 18-year-old Winona man was driving northbound when it hit a 2023 Ford ambulance going southbound as it was making a left turn. The man was pronounced dead at the scene, according to a crash report. The drivers of the ambulance, a 32-year-old man from West Plains, was not injured in the crash. Both drivers were wearing safety devices, troopers said. This is Troop G's fifth fatality of 2026, compared to 6 fatalities at the same time last year.
You may not believe it, but hummingbird migration starts very soon. Spring is just around the corner, which means soon the trees will begin to bud, flowers will bloom, and hummingbirds will make their way to Missouri. The annual hummingbird migration is underway, which sees the birds leaving their winter habitats in Mexico and Central America for their mating grounds up north. Here's when you can expect to see the buzzing birds in the Show Me State. Hummingbirds typically arrive in Missouri from early to mid-April, but the timeline can vary from year to year depending on the weather, according to the University of Missouri Extension. The birds can cover impressive distances during the migration, flying up to 23 miles daily. When crossing the Gulf of Mexico, they can soar as far as 500 miles in a single day. The Missouri Department of Conservation recommends hanging up hummingbird feeders around mid-April, which is when the ruby throat returns to Missouri. You can keep them up until around late October, which is when most of the birds will have left the state. Be sure to clean your feeders weekly with a rinse of vinegar and hot water, and always discard any cloudy or old nectar. It's essential to prevent mold from forming on the feeder to keep them safe for the hummingbird. MDC also recommends getting a feeder that has a bee or wasp guard, which prevents insects from reaching the nectar. You can make your own nectar by using 1 cup of sugar, 4 cups of water, a medium saucepan, and a container. Put the water in the saucepan and cook it on the stove until it boils. Add the sugar and stir in the mixture until it boils again. Remove the saucepan and allow the mixture to cool before putting it in your feeder. It is not necessary, nor is it recommended, to ever add red food coloring as long as the feeder has some part of red on itself.
A dream come true. Cayman Beckemeyer's latest Ozarks star to help Missouri State reach the NCAA tournament. No one was more jubilant than Cayman Beckemeyer when the clock hit 0 on Saturday to conclude the Conference USA tournament. The prolific junior guard not only helped Missouri State upset top-seeded Louisiana Tech 43-38 in the championship round and the Lady Bears' inaugural CUSA season, but she also exercised a postseason demon. Perhaps worse than falling in the semifinals in 2025 after her team earned a share of the Missouri Valley Conference regular season title was getting to the championship round in 2024, only to fall in gut-punching fashion. Drake guard Anna Miller scored at the horn to sink MSU 76-75 and deny a then-freshman Beckemeyer and her cohorts an NCAA tournament berth. It had been haunting us since the day that it happened, Beckemeyer said on Saturday while donning a celebratory CUSA championship hat and t-shirt in a post-game press conference at Probst Arena in Huntsville, Alabama. Clearing that hurdle was among the myriad of reasons the former Republic star could be seen jumping for joy on a nationally televised CBS Sport Network broadcast. Beckemeyer, who was named CUSA Tournament MVP, averaged 17.7 points, 9.3 rebounds, and 2.7 assists in wins over number 3 seed Middle Tennessee, number 2 seed FIU, and the prohibitive favorite, a number 1 seed Louisiana Tech, riding a 19-game winning streak. The same Lady Texters, who were 25-6, that held Beckemeyer, the league's leading scorer and top 10 rebounder in the regular season, to a combined 6 for 24 from the field in Missouri State's 2 regular season losses to Louisiana Tech, 68-67 loss on the road, 60-51 loss at home. She delivered in a third match and much more consequential Tech matchup with 16 points and 9 rebounds. She sank key free throws down the stretch, helping her become the latest Ozarks-raised player to help sixth-seeded Missouri State hear its name called on Selection Sunday. It's a sizable list, one that includes the Marshfield-raised sisters of Melody and Julie Howard in the early 1990s, former Glensdale star Tara Mitchum in the early 2000s to the 2010s, talents of Kenzie Williams and Alexa Willard. To wear the jersey I grew up wanting to wear and be able to go to the big dance, it's a dream come true, Beckemeyer said of MSU, which has 18 NCAA tournament berths, including 2 Final Four appearances in 1992 and 2001. She's proud of her Springfield area hoops heritage, but it pales in comparison to what she often reminds reporters is her driving force, her Christian faith. That was no different on Saturday. This is everything I've ever dreamed of, she said. I have prayers. I tell the Lord I want this to happen. He's completely exceeded my expectations and this team's expectations, and I know he's my foundation and this team's foundation. Missouri State will learn its first-round NCAA tournament opponent and destination on Sunday at 7 p.m. during the NCAA Selection Show on ESPN. The 16 first-round host sites were selected by the NCAA on Saturday.
Springfield was cited in a St. Louis criminal case on election advocacy. As the criminal prosecution of St. Louis County Executive Sam Page proceeds at the Greene County Courthouse, the Queen City has been drawn into the case as more than just a host. Page, who is accused of violating state law that prohibits the use of public funds to take a stance on ballot issues, has argued that the prosecution is targeting him unfairly. As evidence, Page's legal counsel has referenced several municipalities, among those Springfield, which they argue have produced the same kind of publicly funded election materials that prompted legal action against Page. Page was indicted by a grand jury in July on 4 criminal charges, including 2 misdemeanor election offenses and 2 felony counts of stealing for directing public funds to the alleged campaign effort. The case stemmed from postcards and flyers sent out by the county regarding an April 2025 ballot question that would have curbed Page's power to fire department heads by giving that authority to the county council. Voters rejected the change at the ballot. State law prohibits public funds from being used to advocate for or oppose candidates or ballot issues, meaning cities and other taxing districts can only provide information and educational materials on those matters to the voters. In recent arguments to dismiss the case in Greene County Circuit Court, Page's attorney argues the county executives, a Democrat, is being selectively and discriminatorily prosecuted, noting other similarly situated governments have conducted themselves similar to Page but have not faced the same criminal charges. The case is being prosecuted by the Missouri Attorney General's office, which at the time of the indictment was led by Andrew Bailey, a Republican. The court filings imply bad blood between the officials because Page and Bailey, alongside former Governor Mike Kehoe, had battled in court in 2024 over who has the authority to fill a vacant county prosecutor seat. In the motion filed in court, Page's defense lists a plethora of political subdivisions, including school districts, cities, and fire districts that have posed their own ballot questions and subsequently sent out materials that the defense claims included similar language. The postcard regarding the St. Louis County proposition included information that said a yes vote would mean department heads could be removed, quote, for political reasons and fired during emergencies, while a, quote, no vote would maintain stable leadership and avoid political interference. Among the example Page uses to argue he is being singled out are the City of Springfield's materials on the upcoming April 7th vote on a lodging tax increase that would fund a new convention and event center. The court filings include a Springfield brochure on the lodging tax that includes a Why It Is Needed section that states the Queen City currently loses out on events due to inadequate facilities. In July, the city received a report from consultants that made this claim, which, along with the reporter's estimates about potential future revenue, have served as the basis for the city's pursuit of a new convention center. Cora Scott, the city's chief spokesperson, told the Springfield News-Leader all materials created by the city have been solely educational and have undergone rigorous review by the city's law department. The city has not sent out any independent mailers, but has provided brochures and printouts at city events and included materials with city utility bills. These have been printed in-house at a total cost of $2,880 per Cora Scott. We are aware of the restrictions and take them very seriously, Scott said via an email. The city's online FAQ page on the Convention Center addresses some questions surrounding the tax, including how the increased tax would benefit the city and strengthen the local economy. The state has filed opposition to Page's assertion of discrimination and selective prosecution. The Assistant Attorney General claimed in the filing that the claims made by Page regarding other governments are speculation and unsupported, also noting that it is up to local county prosecutors to pursue offenses. The Missouri Attorney General's office is pursuing the case against Page due to being appointed as a special prosecutor by the St. Louis County Circuit Court. The case continues to unfold in Greene County, though a trial date is currently not yet set.
Splendid isolation. The duo behind Homecoming Homes has restored a modernist gem. The meticulously restored, mid-century modern estate at 1318 South Jones Mill Lane is not the typical idea of a flipped home. Nevertheless, that's what the owners call the 5,320 square foot home and neighboring guest house situated along the historic spring. Nathan Taylor, owner and principal designer of Obelisk Home LLC, and J. Taylor Whitmer, an actor and designer, are partners in life and in business with Homecoming Homes LLC. Homecoming Homes has now completed 6 high-end flips, 4 of them designed by iconoclastic modernist architect Don Russell. They've sold 5 of them, and the Jones Mill Lane property is on the market now, listed by Adam Grady of Grady Real Estate, Keller Williams. They're all very unexpected, Taylor said of the restorations the duo has completed. Taylor describes the business as a home reimagining venture centered on locating historical gems and restoring them while paying homage to the original version. We call them flips, but it's way more than a flip, Whitmer said. They're custom reimaginations. It's what we love to do. Whitmer moved to Springfield from Chicago during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. In short order that same year, he and Taylor began working on their first project under the new business. The pair say they love the challenge of historic renovations. We keep as much of the original as makes sense, Whitmer said, especially Don Russell homes. There are so many amazing features of these homes, and we keep absolutely as much of them as we can. When the two saw the Jones Mill Lane home, they knew they had to have it. We knew that most people who would have bought it would have torn it down because we've seen it happen all over the city, Whitmer said. We would hate to see a Don Russell be torn down, so we knew we had to somehow get this home to preserve this amazing property. Russell was based in Springfield and lived in an apartment he customized on the top floor of the former Colonial Hotel at Jefferson Avenue at St. Louis Street. A 1964 article from the Springfield Leader and Press describes how Russell knocked out non-structural walls to fashion a single room to include a living space, bedroom, study, kitchen, dining area, and 2 baths. The article describes what Russell was able to do to transform a downtown apartment, where large areas of white are juxtaposed against dark walnut wall paneling and parquet floors, and where contrasting walnut cornice boards attract one's eye to the farthest dimensions of the suite. The Jones Mill Lane property, designed by Russell and given the moniker Splendid Isolation by its original owners, is a grand extension of the vision displayed in Russell's own living space. The most notable feature of the 1960 prairie-style home is the set of ceiling beams constructed from dark wood telephone poles that radiate from an inner to an outer curvilinear wall. The shape of the house presented a challenge to the Homecoming Homes team, as details like a standing counter are positioned at an angle that aligns with the ceiling beam overhead rather than perpendicular walls. Inside the front entrance, which opens to the top of 2 floors, the interior also features original Douglas fir paneling, red oak floors with handset pegs, and an original Firestone fireplace, as the real estate listing describes. A sly lower level, not apparent from the circular driveway, opens up to a patio area that incorporates the karst landscape. On this level is found one of the most surprising rooms in the house, a wine cellar with a natural stone wall with almost imperceptible rock stairs inset to reach the bottle storage area. The home is listed for $3.5 million with 6 beds and 7 baths, with 3 of the bedrooms and 3 bathrooms located in the guest house. Taylor and Whitmer can be described as Don Russell superfans. They live in one of his homes now, and Taylor previously lived in another. Taylor has a collection of original blueprints of area Russells passed along to him by one of the architect's friends. Restoring a historic home is tricky, the Homecoming Homes team says. There are features to be preserved and others that have to be adapted or removed for considerations ranging from contemporary livability standards to safety. And the Jones Mill house, a challenge was presented by the need to preserve as much of the original cedar siding as they could. Each board is roughly 2 inches thick with a slight bevel, and replacements had to be custom milled by a local crafter. Getting that detail right mattered, Taylor said. That's important, to fight for the integrity of some of these things, he said. But they did carefully modify parts of the home. As an example, for the most part, they chose not to install lights in the ceiling, in keeping with the home's original vision, but they added wall sconces to illuminate the space. When the Homecoming Homes team bought the property, it was in rough shape. Whitmer describes moss-covered roofs, wood rot, leaks, and paint peeling in the sheets. The house was not connected to city sewer services, and only the guest house was connected to city water, with the main house having a non-functional well connection. The property is fully serviced by city utilities now. The Jones Mill property reflects a large investment for Taylor Whitmer and their investors, though they declined to cite dollars and cents. It was acquired for 7 figures, Taylor said, and the team put more than $1 million into the renovation. We're not just those people who can put Band-Aids on things, Whitmer said. We're first and foremost always believe in the design and doing it the right way, which usually means putting a lot of money in. We don't cut corners. Taylor said they also keep in mind the people who live in the restored homes. For their first flip, he said they received a great deal of interest with 10 offers received within 48 hours. And we didn't take the highest offer, he said. We took one from a young family and it just felt right. The work being done by the Homecoming Homes team also makes a difference in the neighborhoods where the houses are located, according to Courtney Lazaro, who lives in a nearby lot on Jones Mill Lane. We have loved watching the process of restoring an old house. It's been a 2-year journey, she said. Lazaro said she and her husband, Christopher, have known Taylor since the two lived in lofts he owned downtown in the place where Obelisk Home is now located, and she knew he was in the right position for the Jones Mill job. They have been so intentional about everything, she said. You can tell that restoring old architect-built homes is a passion for them.
We are currently broadcasting live from the Blind Community Thrift Store located at 2713 North Kansas Expressway in Springfield, Missouri. For additional information about our store, please visit our website at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. To explore more of our video content, including movie reviews with Matt and Meredith, adaptive technology training videos, and other informative materials, please visit our YouTube channel by searching for Blind Community Thrift Store. Our organization is dedicated to supporting the blind community through various initiatives, and our online platforms serve as valuable resources for community engagement and education. From the Springfield Daily Citizen and Poking Around Steve Pokin. She wanted an environmentally sensitive burial of her mom on her Highlandville family land. Jeanette Reeves was a loving and funny woman who occasionally could have a mean streak for those outside of the realm of her family. She died March 7th at age 77, and her daughter Lillian Fitzpatrick has plans to bury her in Fitzpatrick's backyard this coming Wednesday. Fitzpatrick has had the burying ground surveyed by O&M Surveying in Ozarks. It's marked with pink flags on her and her husband's sloping 87 acres in rural Highlandville. She had a quarter acre of her land designated as a cemetery and submitted the appropriate paperwork to Christian County to have the area officially and publicly designated as such. It's been approved by the county, Fitzpatrick tells us. If all goes well, she says, the unembalmed body of Jeanette Reeves, whose maiden name was Wetter, will be lowered into the ground on Wednesday near the house in a pine casket made by her granddaughter, Dylan Fitzpatrick, age 22. She wanted a natural burial, Lillian Fitzpatrick tells me. She wanted to have the least impact on the environment as possible. She didn't want to be embalmed. She wanted the earth, the bacteria, and the insects to do what they're supposed to do, and she liked the idea of that. Mother and daughter were influenced by the book Smoke Gets in Your Eyes and Other Lessons from the Crematory. The 2014 book is described as a memoir by a mortician, Caitlin Daughtery, that explores the death industry with gallows humor, vivid characters, and calls for a healthier cultural attitude toward death. Some have described Daughtery as a death-accepted advocate. Fitzpatrick and her mother once heard Daughtery speak in person. The cost of the funeral was a secondary factor. Fitzpatrick says she and her mother also discussed the cost of a funeral. A traditional full-service burial in Missouri is around $8,200, according to the website Funeral City, which describes itself as a consumer advocate. Having enough money to get by was always a challenge for Reese, as her daughter of Fordland. Jade also supports the backyard burial. She always did her best and we never wanted or went without, she said, but it's kind of gave me a good starting point to know that I want to do better, and I know she wanted us to do better too. Reeves lived in a camping trailer on 2 acres just outside of Highlandville, a 10-minute drive from daughter Fitzpatrick. There were also a house trailer on the land. She was always a hoarder, and it got so full of stuff, she moved to camping in the trailer there. Their parents divorced some 40 years ago and didn't much care for each other after that. Their father, Douglas Reese, died in 2018, and he's buried in the Payne Cemetery in Nixa. His casket was made by his grandson, Derek Fitzpatrick, who is the brother of Dylan. In addition to the house, there are several other outbuildings on the 87 acres. We are in one of the Lillian and husband Darren teach blacksmithing and forging to people who are interested in making decorative items. Dean Fitzpatrick works as a welder in Sparta. Lillian makes jewelry and is a part-time instructor in the arts department at Missouri State University. The casket is now sitting on a table. Fitzpatrick has been adding metal handles. The pine wood was purchased from Menards. It's 25 inches long and 18 inches deep, and that's because that's the size that the hearse from Adams Funeral Home needed. The plan is to take the casket to the funeral home where the body will be put in, and then with a hearse on to Wednesday. There is also a picture that shows the family as an act of bonding. What they're doing is they're taking the pine box, and every member of the family is decorating it and putting a personal touch onto the casket. It is estimated that various families and friends have stopped by to paint the pine box, and it will be put into the ground in March.
Fire destroys vacant Pizza Hut in Branson, Missouri. Branson, Missouri, KY3, a fire destroyed a vacant Pizza Hut building Monday morning near the Target off Branson Hill Parkway. A person going to work called in the fire about 2:15 a.m. The fire chief said strong winds sent embers flying hundreds of feet into the air during the blaze. No other buildings were damaged. Electricity was active in the vacant building at the time of the fire. The fire marshal will investigate the cause. No one was hurt.
March 14th tornado outbreak. 1 year later, Sharp County tornado survivors reflect. Sharp County, Arkansas. 1 year after 2 tornadoes tore through Sharp County, residents and first responders are reflecting on the night of March 14th, 2025, and the recovery that followed. An EF4 tornado originating in Stone County tracked 117 miles on the ground through parts of Ash Flat, Highland, Ozark Acres, and Williford before ending in southeast Missouri. That same night, an EF3 tornado killed 3 people in Cushman before making a direct hit on Cave City. Sharp County Sheriff Shane Russell said emergency personnel had been monitoring forecasts ahead of the storms. March 14th will not be forgotten anytime soon, Russell said. We were watching Ryan Vaughn getting updates from the National Weather Service, and we had prepared for that night based upon what was being forecasted. Volunteer firefighter Heather Wilson was inside a community shelter in Ozark Acres when the EF4 passed overhead. It sounded like a train just come over us, real loud, like right above us, Wilson said. And then when we came out, there were trees, siding, anything you can think of just laying around out here. On Highway 63, a longtime resident's home was leveled. Wilson and her crew began searching the debris, believing the woman was inside. Her house was completely flattened. Her car was there, so we automatically thought, she's in there, we've got to do something, Wilson said. When we got the phone call that she was safe, a lot of us fell to our knees. We cried. After the EF3 moved through Cushman, it headed towards Cave City. Mayor Jonas Anderson said a warning came directly from on-air weather coverage. Literally, Ryan Vaughn even said, Cave City needs to be taking cover. Looks like you may have a direct hit, Anderson said. The decision was made to set off the sirens. Cave City Fire Lieutenant Adam Fitzsimmons said the scale of the damage became clear as he drove into town. I can remember turning off Matlock onto West Center and seeing it and thinking, this is real, Fitzsimmons said. You see it in the movies, but at that point I knew this was going to be bad. Anderson said residents were already moving to help neighbors by the time he reached the center of town. Within minutes, I was in the center of town and there were already the sound of chainsaws. You could hear people hollering back and forth to each other. Tractors starting to come into town already, Anderson said. Across Sharp County, first responders contended with trapped residents, downed trees, power lines, leaking gas, and widespread structural damage. Russell said one of the primary challenges was identifying the tornado's path and clearing roads to reach residents. I don't really believe there's any type of training that can prepare you for the amount of damage, Russell said. Fitzsimmons echoed that assessment. Training's very important, but until you're in that situation, there's nothing to prepare you because you don't know what all you're going to be facing, Fitzsimmons said. Fitzsimmons said community members with damage to their own properties showed up to help. I've got people from the community that had damage on their own place coming up to me, hey, where do you need me? I've got a tractor, I've got this, what do I need to do? Fitzsimmons said. Wilson said the response reflected the character of the county. When disaster strikes, the way that this community, this county, comes together is in its time of need. It's like family, family coming together, Wilson said. 1 year later, several businesses in Cave City have reopened or are in the process of reopening. Homes are being rebuilt across the county. Russell said the outcome, given the scale of destruction, is amazing. For the amount of damage, 2 different tornadoes, how far it traveled, where it hit, and nobody in the county died, we're definitely blessed. There's no other way around it.
We've got several local activities coming up from the Springfield Greene County Library System. On Wednesday, March the 18th, from 10 to 11, we have Exploring Genealogy, Mapping Ireland's Records. Discover how Irish records and surname mapping can reveal local and family connections with genealogist John Graham. And that will be located at the Library Center in the Annie Bush Community Room. Brentwood Literary Society, The Count of Monte Cristo, chapters 1 through 38 will be on Tuesday, March the 17th from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. in the Schweitzer Brentwood Branch Library Community Room 100. Explore different times and places through classic reads with fellow book lovers. Finally get to the books you've always meant to read and discover. Books on Tap, Margot's Got Money Troubles, will be Tuesday, March the 17th from 7 to 8 at 4x4 Brewing Company at 2811 East Galloway Street, Suite A. Get directions by going to 4x4brewing.com. Another Exploring Genealogy, but this time Mapping Ireland's Records, will be held on Wednesday, March the 18th from 10 to 11 in the Library Center Annie Bush Community Room. Discover how Irish records and surname mapping can reveal local and family connections with genealogist Jean Graham. There's a travel log coming up also. This time it's a magical girl's quest from London to Edinburgh. That will be Thursday, March the 19th from 2 to 3 at Schweitzer Brentwood Branch Library in the community room. Enjoy a relaxing afternoon inside the United Kingdom.
5 people were injured in a golf crash in Camden County Friday night. According to the Missouri State Highway Patrol, a 70-year-old man from Chesterfield, Missouri, was driving too fast for the conditions when he lost control of the vehicle. The car ran off the right side of the road and overturned. It happened around 7:40 p.m. on Sylvan Bay Drive near Tall Oaks Lane. Troopers said a 6-year-old boy had minor injuries and a 36-year-old woman had moderate injuries. Both were taken by ambulance to the hospital. The driver had minor injuries and had been released for medical at the hospital. The other 2 passengers, a 9-year-old girl and a 66-year-old woman, both had minor injuries but declined treatment according to the officials.
Missouri State Highway Patrol is investigating a deadly pedestrian crash on I-44. The crash happened in the westbound lanes near Kansas Expressway at around 8:30 p.m. Thursday. Troopers said a 31-year-old man from Clarksburg was hit by 2 cars. Crews transported the man to a hospital where he later died. The circumstances of the crash are under investigation.
From the Ozarks section of the Springfield News-Leader, from the dark room, the Sugar Bears, the Missouri State Sugar Bears dance team is nearly 50 years old. The Sugar Bears dance team has a long and spirited history of performance and tradition. The Sugar Bears made their first appearance in 1976 after Dean of Women Judy Geisler agreed to serve as the sponsor. The original 9 members of the Sugar Bears joined the university's marching band, performing at halftime of football and basketball games and on the sidelines to energize fans and promote school spirit. Over the years, the Sugar Bears have grown into a dynamic team of 21 dancers who continue to represent Missouri State with pride. They are a central part of the game day experience, performing at football and basketball games and serving as active ambassadors in the community. In addition to local performances, the Sugar Bears compete nationally each year at the University Dance Association competition in Orlando, Florida, recently participating in the Division 1A category for the very first time. Celebrating their 50th anniversary, the Sugar Bears honor a legacy of excellence, teamwork, and bear pride that continues to inspire other generations.
Oak Grove Avenue closing between Verona Street and Linwood Street for storm water repairs. The city of Springfield says a portion of Oak Grove Avenue will be closed for a couple of days so the city crews can make stormwater repairs to replace a storm box that crosses Oak Grove. The closure on Oak Grove is between Verona and Linwood Street and will last from Monday, March 16th at 7 a.m. to Wednesday, March 18th at 4 p.m. Crowds packed down Springfield as families celebrate St. Patrick's Day Parade. The city says a detour will be posted that drivers should use alternative routes during the temporary closure. The city also advises caution in the areas and to watch out for workers, equipment, and signage.
Silver Dollar City celebrates construction milestone for new resort. Folks gathered at the site of Silver Dollar City's new resort Friday, March 13th to celebrate its crowning, with the construction crew lifting the final and tallest rooftop into place, marking a major milestone for the 262-room resort. According to Bill Doyle, a senior vice president of hospitality for SDC owner Hershend Family Entertainment, since starting the construction, crews have moved more than 500,000 yards of material, took off 75 feet from the top to the bottom of the site, poured tons and tons of concrete, and placed many thousands of masonry blocks. The next step in the construction project will be putting up drywall in the building, he said. The property is the first project in a $500 million, 10-year strategic investment in the Ozarks, according to a news release. When complete, the resort will offer guests sweeping views of the Ozark Mountains and Table Rock Lake. Guests from all 50 states are drawn to our immersive setting, signature rides, world-class festivals, and our heritage as the home of American craftsmanship, said Brad Thomas, president of Silver Dollar City Parks and Resorts, during the event. Set among the beauty of the Ozarks, this resort will help grow visitation to Silver Dollar City and the Table Rock Lake region for years to come. Following the crowning, guests were invited to the resort's lobby for a boxed lunch and to jot down prayers and hopes in a book that will later be placed on the rooftop beacon. The resort is set to open in 2027.
The Republic School District has explored opening a daycare to recruit and retain employees with children too young for preschool. Superintendent Matt Pierce said despite demand and the value that benefit would provide, the timing is just not right. We continue to circle back to the cost piece, Pierce said. It's significant. District-operated child care programs are not required by the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, making them vulnerable when funding is tight. The number has grown in recent decades, but the cost and scope of services vary greatly by district, along with other factors. The amount parents pay for child care in district-run programs often varies based on the age of the child, parents' employment status with the district, and the amount of care. It's definitely an area of need, as we've seen area child cares and daycares closing down, especially for teachers having babies, said Elizabeth Dawson, early learning principal at Ozark District's Tiger Paws Early Childhood Center. We have a waiting list. The elective programs, typically paid for through a mix of operating funds and tuition, are facing scrutiny going into what is expected to be a very tight 2027 fiscal year. At least one district plans to close its programs this year. Others contacted by the Springfield Business Journal said they are looking at options to make programs more sustainable by tweaking services or raising tuition rates. Final decisions will be made during the budget process, which ends June 30th. A month ago, Dallas County R1 School District announced its daycare program, which operated at a significant financial loss, will close. Superintendent Laura O'Quinn said it was losing an average of $250,000 a year during a 4-year period and will shut down in May. The district launched the program 4 years ago by taking over an existing daycare whose owner was retiring. Declining to grant an interview with O'Quinn, district officials responded via email to questions from SBJ, saying there appeared to be an ample need, and the enrollment of children from birth to age 5 was projected at more than 50. The projections never materialized, the district said in its statement, and enrollment averaged 30 students. The district said revenue was not enough to cover operating costs, including the facility lease and staffing. One of the primary challenges of operating a school-run childcare program is that our employees are enrolled in the peers retirement system, which increases staffing costs due to required school retirement contributions, the district wrote. It is the retirement system for Missouri's public school employees. In a statement, the district said closing was a difficult but necessary decision. There has been a significant improvement in terms of daycare options in the Buffalo area since we started the program, the district wrote. There are now several in-town childcare options available, including a newly expanded facility with over 90 open slots. The child care program offered by the Ozarks School District has 24 spots and only accepts the infant and toddlers of employees, Dawson said, who has been the principal for 5 years and used the program early in her career. I started in the district in 2015, and my own children were part of the program before I worked in this building. I was fortunate to be able to utilize that for them, Dawson said. It's literally just open on teacher work days, and it does have extended hours. It opens at 6:30 in the morning and closes at 6 p.m. in case there are after-school meetings. Dawson said the program remains unchanged because it can be difficult to find infant care for teachers who want to return to work. It's a retention and recruitment tool for our staff for sure, she said. The gap in childcare access was spotlighted in a Missouri Economic Indicators brief from the University of Missouri Extension. It showed for every 10 children under the age of 5, there are only 4.6 available childcare spots. The brief also noted the average annual cost of full-time childcare is $8,100, nearly 14% of a typical Missouri's family income. Stratford R4 School District opened a daycare in 1998 and an early childhood program a couple of years later. With limited options in the community, district officials wanted to fill a need for families, especially teachers with young children, and offer a head start to future students. We think that's a great benefit for our staff, said Stratford Superintendent Mark Heidger. We're committed to keeping that as affordable as possible and not having to make any major changes. Joyce Jennings, president of the Stratford Area Chamber of Commerce, said the availability of childcare is critical in a growing community. She said the district's program is a benefit and offers peace of mind. There are a lot of women who have to work, and for them to afford that is phenomenal. At least the parents know where their children are going, that they will be provided for, said Jennings, owner of the Three Quaint Market and Boutique. As a mother, you have to make sure your kids are taken care of so you can be productive. Jennings said Stratford is growing and amenities for families are a plus. There are a lot of new people moving to Stratford. A lot of new families are coming. We do have a really good school and people are looking for that, she said. Nixa Public Schools offered a child care program for toddlers, but that ended before the pandemic. Zach Rance, Chief Communication Officer, said space was limited and classrooms were needed to expand early childhood education, which currently serves 315 students. We pulled back based on what we could provide to just age 3 and above, he said. Rance said the district offers childcare before and after school for students in kindergarten through 6th grade and wraparound care for students enrolled in half-day preschool options. Our preschools are only half-day, so that allows the parents to have a full day of services for their kids, he said. Rance said that the district has not discussed cutting existing programs, but may propose rate increases once funding for fiscal year 2027 comes into focus. That way we can actually set our rates at an accurate rate and try rather than do it prematurely. He said the goal is for offerings to be cost neutral with enough funding coming in to cover the expenses. In Republic, the district offers childcare before and after school, and employees can enroll their children at a discount. It starts in preschool and runs through 6th grade. That will remain in place, Pierce said. Wendy Rummel is coordinating the Tiger Tales program for Willard Public Schools. It is a tuition-based program offering childcare before and after the school day. Currently, there are 386 students enrolled. To cover costs, the program proposed a 5% increase in the tuition, which is offered on a sliding scale. However, no decision has been made by the Board of Education. We are meeting the budgeting team to reevaluate and ensure that it is the appropriate amount, Rummel says. I don't know if that will increase or decrease. She said the program has experienced higher costs, driven in part by a change in the state minimum wage that now stands at $15 an hour. There has been inflation with food costs and supplies, and it is something that I have noticed, but the biggest aspect is the increase in minimum wage, she said. That is where we feel we have been hit the hardest.
Sunday storms caused damage in parts of Missouri. Severe thunderstorms popped off Sunday afternoon. Mainly east of Highway 65, storms produced damaging winds, gusts of 60 miles an hour, and a few tornado warnings were issued in Howell, Dent, Oregon, and Texas counties. While no tornadoes have been confirmed at this time, there were several reports of thunderstorm wind damage. The Douglas County Sheriff's Office reported multiple trees down near Highway FF and County Road 206. Tree damage was also reported near Highway 5 along County Road 307. Grace Baptist Church in Somerville in Texas County reported roof damage. Facebook users also suggested there was damage to the fire station across the street from Grace Baptist Church, but that has not been confirmed. Pictures show the courtesy, a barn roof was blown off by strong winds near West Plains in Howell County. Animals were inside the barn when the roof came off. Appeared to be okay based on a video obtained by the Ozarks first from the fire department. Some minor trees damage were reported in Highlandville in Christian County following a severe thunderstorm warning. The National Weather Service in Springfield says it's conducting storm surveys today in Willow Springs and Texas County. Their findings should be released in a day or two. They asked you to submit any forms or reports to them through their website or by email to contact sgf@noaa.gov. They are specifically looking for reports from Shannon and Dent counties.
On this day in history, in 2014, reported 97% of voters in Crimea chose to succeed the Ukraine and have it join the Russian Federation. In 1995, Mississippi ratified the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery 130 years after it was added to the U.S. Constitution. In 1978, a tanker ran aground and broke into two, releasing 69 million gallons of crude oil in France. In 1974, the Grand Ole Opry radio show was broadcast for the first time from the new Grand Ole Opry House in Nashville, Tennessee. Opening night featured country legend Roy Acuff and U.S. President Richard Nixon. In 1926, Jerry Lewis, whose unrestrained comedic style made him one of the most popular performers of the 50s and 60s, was born in Newark, New Jersey. In 1926, American inventor Robert H. Goddard launched the first successful liquid-propelled rocket. And in 1751, James Madison, the fourth U.S. president and one of the founding fathers, was born in Virginia. The Blind Community Thrift Store is a spacious 17,000 square foot thrift store located in Springfield, Missouri. It holds the distinction of being the first retail store worldwide to incorporate NaviLens technology, which significantly enhances accessibility for the blind, visually impaired, and non-English speaking individuals. This innovative system enables customers to navigate and shop with minimal assistance, fostering independence and confidence. The store operates as a nonprofit organization dedicated to generating funds that support the provision of adaptive technology training for the blind and visually impaired community, often at little to no cost. Visitors can learn more about the organization and access its services by visiting the store in person at 2713 North Kansas Expressway in Springfield, Missouri, or by exploring the website at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The website offers comprehensive information about the store's mission, services and opportunities for community involvement, as well as details about the free store available to residents in the Springfield area.
Outdoor activities for families. When the weather warms up, Springfield offers dozens of effortless and, in many cases, free ways for families to get outside and explore together. Springfield Conservation Nature Center, 4601 South Nature Center Way in Springfield, Missouri. Check out the robust event offering ranging from wildlife story time for toddlers to snake identification courses and guided hikes. Many events are free and open to drop-ins, while others have a nominational fee and require advanced registration. Tour the Shepherd of the Hill Fish Hatchery. Throughout March, stop by the Shepherd of Hills Conservation Education Center for free 30-minute tours. These aren't boring tours, they're immersive and educational. Springfield, or surprisingly so. Start at 7,500 gallon trophy trout aquarium. Then move to the live snake and other reptile exhibits to check out the trout raceways outside. Note that the hatchery and the education center are open year-round, but these guided tours are offered Tuesday through Saturday, March 10th to the 21st at 11 a.m. and 1 p.m.
Other activities that are available this week at the Springfield Greene County Library: Dollface. Lindy Ryan, in conversation with Agatha Andrews, will be Thursday, March the 19th from 7 to 8 p.m. at the Library Center. It will be in the Annie Bush Community Room, number 100. Explore campy, gory horror with 90s vibes with Lindy Ryan and Agatha Andrews. Also, there's an Alzheimer's and dementia awareness. Healthy Living for Your Brain and Body will be Friday, March the 20th from 10 to 11 a.m. That will be held in the Schweitzer Brentwood Branch Library Community Room 100. The Alzheimer's Association Greater Missouri Chapter will share the latest research along with practical tips for healthy living and caring for those with Alzheimer's and dementia. Silver Screen Surfers. Miss Grant Takes on Richmond is rated G. That will be Friday, March the 20th from 2 to 4 at the Ashgrove Branch Library Community Room number 25. Step back in time with classic films that bring the magic of the silver screen to life. Unlocking the Home Loan Process for 2026 will be held on Saturday, March the 21st from 10 to noon at Schweitzer Brentwood Branch Library Community Room 100. Explore the home buying process with Jeff Johnson. Meet the Farmer. That's going to be Saturday, March the 21st from 1 to 3 in the Midtown Carnegie Branch Library Community Room. Springfield Community Garden farmer educator Kevin Prater will share tips for growing a successful spring garden, followed by a demonstration on prepping fresh dishes using seasonal produce. Intro into AI for Everyday Life will be held Monday, March the 23rd from 10 to 11 in Schweitzer Brentwood Branch Library Community Room 100. Get a hands-on experience by learning how AI works in our world. City seeks public comment on federal housing funds. The City of Springfield is seeking public comment on roughly $2.8 million in federal funds it expects to receive for the 26-27 fiscal year. The municipality expects to receive approximately $1.6 million in community development block grant funds and around $1.2 million in home investment partnership programs funding the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, according to a news release. The figures are estimated since the city has not yet obtained any HUD allocation. The funding plan is available for public review until 5 p.m. on April 13th. Affordable housing is one of the key funding areas, according to the release. The city plans to use part of its HUD funds for rental housing, including new construction and rehabilitation and down payment assistance loans. The city's Economic Vitality Department will continue a commercial loan program and a business incentive loan program with a portion of the funds, according to the release. The release additionally indicates that a dozen nonprofits will benefit from the HUD funds. The nonprofits identified are Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Ozarks, Boys and Girls Clubs of Springfield, Child Advocacy Center, Community Partnership of the Ozarks, Court-Appointed Special Advocates, Crosslines Community Outreach, Foster Adopt Connect Youth Connection Center, Good Samaritan Boys Ranch, Harmony House, KVC Behavioral Health of Missouri, Ozark Food Harvest, and The Kitchen.
We review Shabbat Hot Pot. Do-it-yourself hot pot restaurants and having a moment So we revisited Springfield's original hot pot spot, Shabu Hot Pot. Picture this. You are the sole adult present, and you are responsible for the care and feeding of 5 9-ish-year-old girls who are currently ravenous, rambunctious, and reeling from a thrilling birthday excursion to the wonders of wildlife. In the moments of wild hubris and you believe taking them out to the hot pot will be fun and adventure. They are nine after all, well behaved and all of them, and well behaved all of them. So you find yourself trucked up to the table, Shabu Hot Pot, while your daughter and her friends ooh and ah over the conveyor belts, guiding past the table, carrying ingredients for them to plop into in the boiling hot bowls of soup. They are bubbling away on the table in front of the purpurial motion and machines that they are. Does this sound unwise, borderline irresponsible, like a third-degree burn waiting for it to happen? Maybe, but it was also much fun, not specifically a kid-centric activity. Try this with your adult friends for the first time you go. Hot Pot is a hands-on dining experience where you choose the broth and then customize your soup using a huge variety of all-you-can-eat ingredients. The shabu, you order your broth. There are 5 varieties. Most of the raw proteins from your server, and then you get to grab everything else through a little window as it passes by you on a conveyor belt that winds around the dining room. So what kind of ingredients are on the conveyor belt? Well, there are lots of veggies. I love the enoki and kind of oyster mushrooms, but you can also find tender crowned daisy greens, crisp carrots, crunchy lotus roots, and more. There are also lots of noodles. If you're a noodle fanatic like me, it's my favorite group. You'll be in a state of bliss. From the conveyor belt, you can grab multicolored fresh ramen and undo, slippery sweet potato noodles, and uber thin rice noodles. Just drop your ingredient into the broth and let them cook. Most meats, which are very thinly sliced, cook quite quickly. Our favorite are the Angus beef and the pork belly, some veggies, and I'm looking at you, broccoli. Take quite a while to cook. It is like mixing up a protein filled with flavors you'll love. One thing I appreciate about the shabu is that the portions on each conveyor belt plates are small, so you can taste more things without too much commitment. And those small plates really do invite exploration. Even my pickier child has branched out quite a bit here. She has tried boiled quail eggs, and she was not a big fan of that. The sweet and chewy sesame balls. And another visit, my son explored a few types of fish cake and fish meatballs and ravened out of them all.
3,800 workers are preparing a strike. About 3,800 workers at one of the nation's largest meatpacking plants were set to strike Monday morning in Colorado in what union representatives said would be the first walkout at a U.S. beef slaughterhouse since the 1980s. The strike at the Swift Beef Company plant in Greenlee was set to begin at 5:30 this morning. said the president of the United Food and Commercial Workers Union. It follows accusations from union officials that owner JBS USA retaliated against workers and committed other unfair labor practices amid contract negotiations. A previous contract was due to expire at midnight Sunday. The expected strike comes at a 75-year low for the U.S. cattle population, with a January 1 inventory of 86.2 million animals, down 1% from the prior year. Beef prices have added to economic anxiety in the U.S., while the administration of President Donald Trump has turned to a trade deal with Argentina in efforts to lower prices for food, including beef. It also follows the January closure of a meat packing plant in Lexington, Nebraska, which was expected to ripple through the local economy and community. At the Greenlee plant, the company tried to intimidate workers to quit the union in a one-on-one meeting until General Counsel Matt Schuker said. Cordoval said 99% of workers voted to authorize the strike. No formal negotiations took place over the weekend after the company refused a union request to negotiate on Saturday. JBS USA said in a statement that any employee who didn't want to strike would have work and would be paid. The company said it would operate 2 shifts at the plant today and would temporarily move production as needed to other JBS facilities. The statement said the company operates in full compliance with federal and state labor and employment laws. Our goal is to minimize impact to our customers, our partners, and the broader marketplace while we work toward a fair resolution, said Greenlee. It is the first strike at a U.S. slaughterhouse since workers walked out of Hormel plant in Minnesota in 1985, Cordoval said. The strike lasted more than a year and included violent confrontations between police protesters, according to the Minnesota Historical Society.
The Chiefs finalizing trade for Jets QB Justin Fields. Kansas City, Missouri. According to the NFL media reports, the Kansas City Chiefs are competing a deal that will send quarterback Justin Fields from the New York Jets to the KC to back up Patrick Mahomes. The deal was reported by the NFL insiders Adam Schefter of ESPN and Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. Rappaport says the Chiefs are sending a 2027 sixth-round pick in exchange for Fields. Rappaport says the Jets will be responsible for a larger part of the Fields' salary to make the trade possible, as he is owed a guaranteed $10 million. Coming off an ACL and LCL tear late in the season, there has been lots of speculation to whether Patrick Mahomes will be able to start the season healthy for the Chiefs. Kansas City sees backup quarterback Gardner Minshew signed a deal with the Arizona Cardinals this offseason, leaving just Chris Odekun and Jake Hanner behind Mahomes. If Mahomes cannot make the back it to the start of the season in September, Fields could be the plan to the start of week 1. He has plenty of experience, starting 53 games in 5 years for the Jets, Steelers, and Bears. Even if Mahomes is healthy, the Chiefs could have themselves an option for a short yardage situation in Fields. He has proven more successful as a rusher rather than a passer in his NFL career. The 6'3", 227-pound quarterback has rushed over 2,800 yards and scored 23 touchdowns on the ground in his 5 years. While Mahomes is proven to a savvy scrambler, head coach Andy Reid has been hesitant to send Mahomes up the middle on the short yardage plays after he has dislocated his knee in a 2019 game against Denver. Training camp for the Chiefs will begin in late July, giving Fields a full off-season to learn his playbook. The question is, with Fields set up to join the team, do the Chiefs need to rush back? Patrick Mahomes is ready for week 1.
Show Me Institute, the wrong way to fix property taxes. This is an opinion piece. Missouri property tax system works best when the assessments are accurate, the tax base is wide, and the rates are low. That combination will help grow Missouri's economy for everyone while properly funding the necessary functions of local government. However, a radical change in the system is being put before voters in Webster, Christian, Lawrence, and Dade counties in April. These 4 counties will vote on whether to prohibit any property tax increases due to reassessment. Current law requires local governments to roll back the tax rate as assessment increases, but we all know that taxes will still go up. At the Show Me Institute, we support low taxes, and I'm well aware of how tempting this will be to voters, but using market valuations and reassessment to state taxes is a good system. While our property tax system needs reform, eliminating any and all tax increases from reassessment will make that more difficult. These property tax limitations would reduce the ability of school districts to fund themselves and would make them more dependent on state aid. Consider the following. School districts in St. Louis County regularly receive an 80% of their funding from local resources, primarily property taxes, and some are over 90%. It is nowhere near that level in Southwest Missouri. Nixa school districts in Christian County is only 54% locally funded, while Marshfield School District in Webster is only 46% locally funded. Even Springfield School District, the largest district in Greene County where no property tax changes are proposed, is only 58% locally funded. These changes would make school districts in these counties more dependent on state aid, not less. Again, I'm aware that many voters may view that as beneficial, but is anything but. Numerous other harmful effects would come from diluting the market forces based on the market values than what is the current property taxation. This again was from David Stokes, and it was an opinion piece by David Stokes.
AG Boost programs brings hands-on agriculture lessons to Springfield, Willard, and Nixa students. Third graders in Springfield, Willard, and Nixa are learning how agriculture connects to their daily living, our lives, through Missouri's Farmers Care Agricultural Education on the Move program this spring. In Springfield, local educator David Aldrich is leading students at New Covenant Academy in Springfield, AG Academy, through the program's 10-lesson curriculum. In Willard and Willard FFA member educators are teaching students at Willard Orchard Hill Elementary and Nixa FFA member educators are leading the lessons for students at Johns Thomas and Century Elementary Schools. Missouri Farmers Care says the AG Moves programs is designed to help students better understand the connection between food and fuel and farming, while also creating leadership opportunities for the students who teach it. Organizers say more than half of the elementary students enrolled in the program are taught by the local FFA members, many of whom receive the state and national recognition for leadership and service. Governor Mike Kehoe said that the program helps invest in the next generation of agricultural leaders while bridging the gap between producers and consumers at a young age. Students in the program explore topics including crops, livestock, soil, water conservation, nutrition, and careers in agriculture. The organizers say that the STEM-focused lessons align with Missouri standards in science, math, social studies, and language and arts. Program director Heather Fletcher said AG Moves is designed to make agricultural engaging and memorable for students while also helping young educators grow as leaders and communicators. Each lesson includes hands-on activities such as making soybean germination necklaces, creating corn plastics, and preparing butter, developing feed rations, and building soil profiles. Organizers say that the curriculum also helps students better understand Missouri farm families and their year-round work of farmers and ranchers. Missouri Farmers Care Foundation provides a curriculum, materials, and trained educators participating in the schools at no cost. Missouri's Director of Agriculture, Chris Chin, and his program is very important for helping students understand where their food comes from and preparing the next generation of agricultural leaders through FFA partnerships. The 2025 AG Movers reached 13,682 elementary students in 219 schools across 86 Missouri counties, according to Missouri Farmers Care. Organizers say more than 950 FFA members delivered the program in their communities. Missouri Farmers Care Executive Director Ashley McCarty say that the program helps students understand the role agriculture plays in everyday life while building appreciation for the farmers, ranchers, and rural communities that support the state. AG Moves is funded by Missouri Farmers Care, the coalition of more than 40 agriculture groups in Missouri, along with the support from Missouri soybean farmers and their checkoff for the MFA Oil Foundation, FCS Financial, MFA Incorporated, and Missouri Beef Industry Council, Missouri Corn Merchandising Council, and Poultry Federation, Vital Farms, and the Missouri Fertilizer Control Board, and other agricultural partners.
A man from Branson is charged with second-degree murder and armed criminal action for the death of a man late Saturday night. According to the court documents used to charge Michael Froman, the victim was found outside the Bee Creek Apartments with several gunshot wounds. Deputies say they found several shell cases around the pickup truck. The victim's girlfriend told investigators she was in the front passenger seat of the pickup truck when a black van passed them, then slammed on the brakes. She stated that Froman got out of his van and started yelling. When her boyfriend got out to confront him, Froman started shooting. A separate driver stated she saw the van being operated aggressively and heard the sound of several gunshots. The court record states that Froman was taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound to his hand. He told investigators he thought the driver of the truck was being weird, so he passed him. Froman stated that the truck got close to his rear bumper and sped up to following him, and Froman became concerned that he was leading the other driver and didn't want to do that. When asked what happened next, Froman refused to answer more questions without an attorney present. Froman is held without bond in the Taney County Jail, and the victim's name has not currently been released. An Ozark County man is in custody after being accused of striking an individual with his vehicle on Saturday, March the 14th. According to online court dockets, Hunter Ray Warren, born in 2006 in Dora, Missouri, has been charged with felony first-degree assault. serious physical injury or special victim, armed criminal action, and leaving the scene of an accident with physical injuries. Warren has also been charged with misdemeanor of operating a vehicle in a careless and inconsistent manner and operating a vehicle on a highway without a valid license. The probable cause statement says the Ozark County Sheriff's Office dispatch received a call around 3:45 a.m. on Saturday from a person stating a male had been struck by a vehicle. Dispatch was alerted by the caller that the man was not breathing, but shortly before ambulances arrived, the man was breathing again with no obvious bleeding seen. A deputy spoke to a male about the incident where they said his friends were gathered at his home when Warren arrived later in the evening in his teal blue Jeep. The person described that Warren had been upset over a past relationship, but then was asked to leave after the discussion. Later that night, Warren returned in his Jeep with the person, saying he had his headlights off as he approached the group in his vehicle while they were at a bonfire. The individual told law enforcement the group jumped out of the way but realized his friend had been struck by the Jeep after Warren left the scene. During the conversation, the individual showed officials a Snapchat story from Warren showing his vehicle, which was later found by deputies. Authorities later found the location where Warren lives and arrested him without incident. Warren allegedly had, quote, red bloodshot eyes, end quote, and admitted to consuming alcoholic beverages during the evening and morning. The suspect stated that he didn't recall the incident, but was at the residence initially and could not provide more details of his whereabouts during the evening. Officials granted a search warrant for the home and gained access to recording devices and his Jeep, the statement says. The victim later spoke to deputies after being released from the Baxter County Regional Hospital in Mountain Home, Arkansas, with injuries of multiple contusions, a closed head injury, and a possible foot fracture. Law enforcement was told by the victim that he arrived at the residence at 10:30 p.m. the day of the incident, where Warren had a verbal altercation with the group, leading to being asked to leave. The victim stated he was inside the residence when he heard another altercation starting, and he decided to go outside to see what was transpiring. He said he saw the Jeep and began to walk toward it until it was around 10 feet away, and he heard the engine. Deputies were told by the victim that he was then struck by the Jeep, and him not recalling anything after it except short-term memories of being in the ambulance and in the emergency room. Warren is in the Ozark County Jail without bond, and he is scheduled for an initial arraignment Tuesday, March the 17th.
Kids bored during spring break. Here are 16 things to do in the Ozarks. Springfield Public Schools spring break is here and lasts until March 20th. So what to do when you're exhausted all the other games, crafts, and movies at home? We've got a few ideas for you. The asterisk denotes events that are free. Go on a scavenger hunt at Springfield's Botanical Gardens, where Springfield Botanical Gardens, 2400 South Scenic Avenue in Springfield. Kids between 4 and 18 can participate in a self-led scavenger hunt that will lead them and let them explore the gardens. There are 2 scavenger hunts based on reading levels, and guests should visit the front desk to start theirs. See Sweeney Todd at the Landers Theater through March 29th. Landers Theater, 311 East Walnut Street. Maybe leave the littles at home for this one. Springfield Theater will put on a production of Sweeney Todd, which follows a vengeful barber as he seeks justice against those who wronged him. And Gothic shows feature murder, mystery, and humor. For more information, call springfieldlittletheater.org /show/Sweeney Todd. make perler bead crafts and eat pizza at Sparta Community Library. March 16th, Sparta Community Library, 147 Library Lane, Sparta. Kids from 5 to 12 can make crafts with perler beads while enjoying some pizza at 4 p.m. at Sparta Community Library. Play Dungeons and Dragons at the Club of at Ozarks Community Library, March 16th. Ozark Community Library, 1005 North 4th Avenue, Ozarks. Teens can band together with other players and try to role-playing Dungeons and Dragons starting at 4:30 p.m. Craft a Storm at Midtown Carnegie Branch Library. When March 17th, Midtown Carnegie Branch Library, 397 East Central Street, Springfield. Kids between the ages of 12 and 18 can have fun at the Teen Craft Extravaganza, which runs from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. There will be a variety of supplies on hand, from paint to yarn to beads. Visit Village Meeple Bead or Board Game Cafe and Spring Break Camps. March 17th to the 19th, Village Meeple Board Games Cafe, 1570 East Battlefield Road in Springfield. Join in for the fun for one or more multiple days of board games, crafts, tabletop fun, and village meeples. There are 3 different themes. March 17th is Playful Pets, where kids can play as their favorite animal. March 18th is Dino Day, with dinosaurs, themes, games, and crafts. And March 19th is Gaming with the Fishes, which will be aquatic themed. For more information, to sign up, visit villagemeeple.com/store. Visit the Makerspace and Open Studio at Midtown Carnegie Branch Library. March 18th, Midtown Carnegie Branch Library in Springfield. Folks 12 and older can come and explore Makerspace at the Midtown Carnegie Branch Library from 1 to 5 p.m. This is a drop-in lab time, great for first-time tours and last-minute projects, according to the library. Go roller skating, March 18th to the 22nd. Springfield Skateland, 55163 South Campbell Avenue in Springfield. Skateland has a special spring break hours. On March 18th, there is a 1 to 3 p.m. session and 7 to 9 p.m. session. On March 19th, there is a 1 p.m. and to 3 p.m. session. On March 20th, there is a 1 to 3 p.m. session and a 7 to 10 p.m. session. On March 21st, there is a 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. session, also a 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. session, and a 16 and older session from 8 to 10 p.m. on March 22nd. There is a 2 to 4 p.m. session. Visit springfieldskateland.com for more information. Visit Mermaids at Wonders of Wildlife. March 18th to the 22nd. Wonders of Wildlife, 500 West Sunshine Street in Springfield. Mermaids are returning to the Wonders of Wildlife. Guests can also wave hello to mermaids in the Great Barrier Reef. Explore the Mermaid Cove at the Stingray Touch. Listen to the stories and make crafts or snap a photo during a meet and greet. For more information to purchase tickets, visit wondersofwildlife.org/mermaids. Watch a peanut movie at the Library Center, March 19th, the Library Center, 4653 South Campbell Avenue in Springfield. Enjoy free morning show of the Peanuts movie starting at 11 a.m. Play board games with Dragon Loft March 19th. Dragon Loft 3857 South Campbell Avenue, Suite A, Springfield. From 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Guests can come and play board games at the Dragon Loft, a game store. Snacks and games will be available for purchase. Watch how to Train Your Dragon at the Library Center, March 20th. There is a Library Center, 4653 South Campbell Avenue in Springfield. Enjoy morning showing of the live action How to Train Your Dragon, starting at 11 a.m. Join a night at the farm, Rutledge Wilson Park.
A motorcyclist has died after striking an ambulance in Shannon County on Sunday, March the 15th. According to the Missouri State Highway Patrol crash report, an 18-year-old Winona man died at around 8:38 a.m. on Highway 19, 6 miles south of Winona on Sunday. The report says the man was driving a 2005 Yamaha Star when the vehicle struck a 32-year-old West Plains man driving a 2023 Ford ambulance as it was making a left turn. The Winona man was pronounced dead at the scene at 9:10 a.m.
Thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. Tune in every week, Monday through Friday, on the Blind Community Thrift Store's YouTube channel at 10 a.m. for more up-to-date news from the Springfield News-Leader, Springfield Daily Citizen, Springfield Business Journal, Daily Citizen, Springfield Business Journal, 417 Magazine. Listen after we are live on Audio Radio Network at www.reader.ku.edu. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz and 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for more information on receiving pre-programmed radio.